Floods. A flood is a disaster caused by water. It is mainly caused by local conditions and the variability of nature due to heavy rain continued for a long time. Sometimes it can cause cataract flowing quickly, flash flood, and there may be collapsed mud and logs flowing in the water. Flood is the number one natural disaster that Thai people worry about and suffer from. It impacts farmland, life, and property of people. The reason that Thailand has a flood every year is because of the changes to local conditions. The increasing number of agricultural land, residential area, and industrial areas are replacing the natural forests that used to absorb the water and help slow down the speed and duration of water flowing to developed areas. Factors that cause flood. Heavy, continuous rain is impossible to drain out of an area immediately. A high tide pushes water into the estuary, which causes flooding around both sides of a river. Water retention areas shallowed. If the rainy season brings large amounts of water, there will be an abundance of water, which can cause flooding in various areas. There are obstacles blocking the flow of water, such as houses, industrial factories, roads, etc. The impact of flooding. Some impacts of flooding are economic damages, economic expansion disruption, and excess government spending for repairing roads and other infrastructure systems. Houses, building, and other public places become flooded. Humans and animals may be at risk of drowning. Transportation and routes may be cut, goods damaged in transit, infrastructure such as electricity, water, and telephone services may be damaged. Agricultural areas and livestock may be damaged. Disease and infection outbreaks occur, such as athlete's foot, conjunctivitis, leptospirosis, as well as mental health problems. Regulation. 1. Monitor flood zones to find safe upland areas. 2. Avoid building houses in flooded areas or an area that blocks the flow of water. 3. The end of dams or reservoirs are an unsafe area that should be prepared to sandbag to make a flood wall. 4. Should always clean the floor to prevent materials that can float on water because it could be dangerous. 5. Do not drive a vehicle, walk, or swim in water that is flowing turbulently. 6. State government, local government, and residents have to take care of the reservoirs, brooks, swamps, canals, and marshes that are located in at-risk communities to be able to retain water. 7. The farmland that is affected annually should be adjusted for farming or choose the crops that suit the potential of the area. Practices. Preparation for a flood. Become familiar with the warning systems of the involved agencies. Learn safe travel routes and evacuation procedures. Prepare sandbags to prevent water from entering houses in flood risk areas. Keep important property in areas where it does not flood. Consult and make an agreement with the insurance company about property damage insurance. Record phone numbers for emergency and store them in a convenient area. Necessary action during a flood. Turn off electrical equipment. Main switches. Do not touch electrical switches while wet, and close all gas tanks. Seal all drains, sinks, bathroom floors, and sanitary ware that water may damage in the house. Lock doors and evacuate to higher ground. Do not walk through the water and avoid driving in flooded areas. Do not drink tap water from the faucet or the flood water because it may be contaminated with germs. Beware of poisonous animals that escape the flood to live in a house and on the roof like snakes, centipedes, and scorpions. In an emergency situation, people should be more concerned about the safety of life rather than material belongings. Action following a flood. Clean houses and roads and return to normal conditions as soon as possible. Flooding may cause depression and take time to get back to normal, so people should take care of their family. In the case of having insurance, Contact your insurance company to examine the damage and repair the assets. Major floods in Thailand. In 1942, there was major flooding due to the continuous heavy rains, which made water levels in the Chao Phraya River rise very high. The water level at Rama 1 Memorial Bridge measured 2.27 meters, which was the most severe flooding in its history prior to the creation of large dams, such as the Bhumipol Dam and Sirikit Dam. In 1983, there was heavy floods in Bangkok caused by storms passing through the northern and central regions. There were many storms blowing past Bangkok in October that caused a severe flooding crisis, especially traffic problems that caused cars and boats to use the same route. In 1995, heavy rain continued for several days, which resulted in high water level of the Chao Phraya River. Flood barriers along sides of the Chao Phraya River were flooded with water up to 1 meter. The duration of flooding was about 2 months and caused people to suffer greatly. Transportation was difficult and required boats to travel because almost every area became a canal. In 2000, there was heavy rain for 3 days and 3 nights, which made the water from the San Kala Kiri mountain flooded the city center of Hat Yai, Songkhla, that has the terrain of a basin and fills with water very quickly. It was considered as the most severe flooding of Songkhla. The flood damage costed more than 10 million baht. The number of deaths were about 35 people reported from the government, but the unofficial number of deaths was up to 233 people, not including foreigners. In 2001, there was rain for several days which caused a cataract from the Wiang Kosai National Park, flooding and destroying the villages in Wangchin Prey. There were 23 deaths, 16 people missing, and 58 people injured. It was considered the worst flooding in 100 years in Prey. Roads and bridges were cut, and 45 houses disappeared in the water. In 2011, there were a lot of cyclones which made heavy rains for several days. It resulted in severe flooding in the Chao Phraya River and the Mekong River Basin. There were more than 500 deaths and it affected over 12 million people. The damage was estimated at 1 trillion baht and caused damages to the economy, society, and the confidence of the country. This flooding was the most severe in terms of quantity of water and number of people affected.